picture this. You're watching this video, or maybe you're just walking to the fridge. It's a regular Tuesday afternoon. Your feet are on the floor. Your drink is on the table. The world is grippy. That's the rule, right? Things stay put. Friction. The universe's universal Velcro. Now forget that. For 5 seconds, starting now. The first thing you wouldn't hear is a sound. You'd feel it. Or rather, you'd feel the sudden, absolute lack of feeling under your feet. It wouldn't be like slipping on ice. Ice still has some friction. This is different. This is the floor turning into pure theoretical physics. A frictionless plane. Your foot, which was solidly planted a millisecond ago, has nothing to push against. Your brain sends the stand-up signal, your muscles fire, and your leg shoots out sideways like a cartoon character on a banana peel. But 1,000 times worse. You're on the floor before you even know you're falling. But you're not lying down. You're sliding. Any slight slope in your floor, any tiny tilt, and you are now a human hockey puck, accelerating slowly, helplessly toward the nearest wall. And good luck stopping yourself. Push against the floor, your hand just slides. Try to grab the leg of a table, your fingers can't get purchase. They just slip off. It's a level of helplessness your body has no evolutionary programming for. But you're the lucky one. You were inside on a mostly flat surface. Let's go outside. That car going 40 miles an hour down your street, the instant friction vanishes, its tires stop turning. They're just spinning freely. But that doesn't matter because the rubber has no grip on the asphalt. Zero. That car is now a 2-ton metal sled. Newton's first law takes over with a vengeance. An object in motion stays in motion. It will keep going in a perfectly straight line at the exact same speed until something makes it stop. And what's going to stop it? Not the brakes. The brake pads can't grip the rotors. The anti-lock braking system would just scream in electronic terror. The car will glide straight through an intersection, straight into another gliding car, straight into a building. And the impact, that's the crazy part. With no friction to slow it down beforehand, the collision happens at full speed. It's not a screeching, crumpling crash. It's more like a sudden, brutal stop, a transfer of all that kinetic energy at once. And planes. Oh man, planes. A passenger jet cruising at 35,000 feet? For those 5 seconds, the air still creates drag, so it's not like they just fall, but control surfaces? Forget it. The flaps, the ailerons, they work by pushing against the air flowing over them. But the hinges, the mechanisms inside the wing, they rely on friction to hold their position against that pressure. If those internal parts can't hold, the plane's control inputs become suggestions, not commands. It might enter a shallow, uncorrectable bank. For 5 seconds. Long enough. But the real nightmare isn't the big, fast things. It's the small, fundamental things. That coffee cup on your desk, the one that's just sitting there because of static friction, gone. It slides off at the slightest vibration. Every single thing not bolted down, and I mean bolted with nuts and washers, not just sitting in a bracket, becomes a projectile. Books slide off shelves. Plates slide off tables. On a grand scale, think of warehouses. Think of shipping containers stacked 10 high on a cargo ship. That delicate balance, held by friction between the containers and the slight grip of the twist locks. Poof! You'd have a domino collapse of steel boxes sliding into the sea. But in slow motion, because there's no grip to start a sudden fall, just a gradual, terrifying, irresistible slide. And here's a fun, horrible twist. What about things that are supposed to move? Your heart. The valves in your heart rely on tiny bits of tissue, on precise movements. What if, on a microscopic level, those movements slip? For 5 seconds, the rhythm stutters. Not for everyone, maybe, but for some. It would be silent, internal, and utterly random. Or your digestive system, peristalsis, the muscle squeezing to move food along, needs friction to work properly. Without it, well, let's just say the concept of internal stability takes a 5-second vacation. So, 5 seconds of pure, unadulterated chaos. A world where every force is unbalanced. A world that's suddenly lubricated. Then, as suddenly as it left, it's back. The universe's Velcro re-engages. The silence that follows would be deafening, but not complete, because it would be punctuated by the sounds of the aftermath. First, the crashes, all the delayed impacts. The car that glided silently into a tree now makes the crunch it was saving up. The plane that was banking sharply now strains against suddenly working controls, maybe overcorrecting. The distant, rolling thunder of collapsing container stacks at ports. Then the human noise. Not screams at first, too much shock. More like a collective gasp. Then the moans of pain from dislocated shoulders, broken hips from people who slid into immovable objects. The confusion. What just happened? The immediate aftermath looks like a movie set after an earthquake. But wrong. Stuff isn't just on the floor. It's piled against the west wall of every room, every street, gathered in drifts like frictionless snow. Cars are pointed in bizarre, intersecting straight lines, their original paths frozen in a tangled metal diagram. Any building on even a slight hill has every piece of its unsecured interior furniture piled against the downhill wall. Societally, complete, utter paralysis. But not from panic, from physics. Nothing with wheels can move initially because to get a car to roll again, you need static friction to overcome inertia. You'd have to rock it, push it to get the tires to bite again. Public transportation is a sculpture garden of misaligned vehicles. Airports are closed indefinitely. Every single plane in the sky during the event is now an emergency landing case. And every plane on the ground needs its systems checked for stresses they were never designed to handle. The economy doesn't just stumble, it faceplants. Global shipping is annihilated. Ports are junkyards. The internet? Maybe okay, actually. Fiber optic cables are buried or secured. But the power grid? Transformers that shifted on their platforms might fail. Generating plants with unsecured components might have shaken themselves to pieces. So who wins in this world? Honestly, the winners are barely human. The people who were in zero-gravity training or astronauts already in orbit. For them, it was just 5 more seconds of normal. They'd look down and see the entire planet having a brief, catastrophic seizure. On the ground, the winners are people who were in perfectly horizontal, padded, enclosed spaces. People in hospital beds that were leveled and had the rails up. People in elevators that happened to be between floors, stuck but safe. Submariners deep under the ocean. Cave divers. Anyone whose world was already a controlled, secured tube. The losers? Everyone else. But especially anyone in motion. Anyone on a slope, anyone relying on precise machinery in that moment. Surgeons, pilots, drivers, construction workers on girders. After the initial rescue and recovery, which would take months, maybe years, the world rebuilds. But differently. You think building codes are strict now? Future buildings are built with perfectly level, deliberately slightly concave floors that drain to a center point. Everything is bolted, and I mean everything. Your kitchen table? Bolted through the floor. Your bookcase? Part of the wall. Furniture becomes architectural. Cars? They might get a secondary system, maybe electromagnets that can engage with special road strips in an emergency, or mechanical spikes that shoot into the asphalt. Or maybe we just use fewer of them. Trains on maglev tracks, which already don't rely on friction, become the backbone of everything. But the real change is psychological. For the rest of human history, everyone who lived through those 5 seconds would have a baseline understanding. The world is not sticky. This grip is a privilege, not a guarantee. There'd be a low-grade, universal anxiety about slopes. People would subconsciously level their drinks on tables. You'd see folks testing the grip of their shoes constantly. We'd have a new word for that day. Not a name, but a technical term taught in schools. The slip, the unmaking, the great release. And we'd never know why. No cause. No asteroid, no solar flare our science could pin it on. Just 5 seconds where a fundamental constant of the universe took a coffee break. It would be the ultimate cosmic prank with the worst punchline imaginable. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? We trust the laws of physics so completely, we build our civilization on them. But what if they're not laws? What if they're just really strong habits? So, let me ask you this. If you felt the floor give way like that, if you saw your entire living room slowly migrate toward one wall, what's the first thing you'd try to hold on to? And more importantly, do you really think you could?